good holiday, and we're back at week 6 today. I'll have to shout a bit because the puppies are very noisy this morning. I think they know something's going on. So this morning we're going to show you a little bit about the puppies, what they're doing. But I'm also going to talk a little bit about the health care, because as they grow up, we've got to do certain things with them. And one of the things we've been watching is their teeth, that when they were born, they didn't have any. And then they gradually came in. By about 2 weeks, they started to come in. And then by 4 weeks, they had their full set of teeth, their baby teeth, just like you. So when you were born, you didn't have any teeth. And as you got older, they started to grow in. And then when you got to about 4, 5, 6, they started to drop out. Well, the puppy's teeth do the same thing. So I'm going to show you with Shandy. So very often when they drop out, you don't find them. They swallow them or they're playing and they get lost. But I happened to find one of Shandy's teeth. So I'm going to show it to you. It was one of her canines. This is the pointed tooth, the canine. So it comes, they have 2, one on each side. And this out just like your teeth. The new teeth, the big adult teeth, are starting to push through. So we're going to have a look and see what Shandy's teeth are doing. So they're the big ones there. And you can see hers are nice lily white, nice and clean. As she gets older, we have to help her keep her teeth clean. So with the dogs, we give them chews and different things that are hard so they can chew on and move the tartar off. But you have to brush your teeth every day, or sometimes 2 times a day, to keep your teeth clean. And as the dogs do get older and we visit for therapy dogs, I do brush their teeth. So they get their teeth brushed with a toothbrush and toothpaste. Remember when they were born, their ears were closed and gradually they open. And as you can see now, as they get older, Shandy's 6 months old. They're quite long now and they're proper size. And inside you can see she's very hairy. I like to keep that fur clipped and cut so the air can get in and stop any infections getting in. So I just use a pair of sharp scissors. So I just trim the fur off. So it keeps a nice opening here for the ear, and the air can get in. And also, I have to check every week to make sure they're clean. Now, when you have a shower or a bath, you wash your ears, I hope. But the dogs can't wash their ears. So I have to keep checking and making sure they're not getting the wax build up or they're getting infection in there. So if you start seeing wax, then I'll get some special ear cleaner and just do the outside. They never go down into the channel. You just clean around the outside and make sure they stay clean and healthy for them. And especially when they're swimming, they tend to pick up ear infections, and I think you do too. If we are not very careful, we can get ear infections when we swim, and so can the dogs. So we have to make sure we look after them. So we talked about the puppy's nails and your nails, that you've each got sort of pink, and then it goes to the white tip, which Mummy cuts off. And you saw me cutting the puppy's little toenails. And because they were so tiny, we could use the same clipper that Mummy probably uses with your fingernails. And as they get a bit bigger, then I use a different kind of clipper. So it takes off the thicker nails. So I often use this if they happen to get too long. But normally what I use is the drill. And it just drills down to where you see the pink coming. Now Bracken's nails are fairly short because I did them very just recently, but you can see a white tip on this nail. You can see it's all pink and then it goes white. So we just take the tip of the nail off. So it doesn't hurt them. Like if you happen to get the little pink quick, with the scissors, it'll really spurt out with blood, it'll bleed. But if with the drill, it doesn't cause that. The other thing we do with the feet, because they've got long fur, they tend to get very hairy feet. You can see a lot of fur between the toes and all underneath. So I like to tuck it in with my finger, and then I trim off on the bottom any of the fur that's sticking out. So Bracken has a little bit there that I probably missed. So we just trim off the fur. If we don't, she tends to pick up the ice and the snow and any bits and pieces that are on the ground, and then it gets stuck in her toes, in between her toes, and can cause infections. So we like to keep the feet nicely trimmed so that the fur doesn't pick up the ice and the snow. Now Bracken is more compliant with the toothbrush because she gets it done regularly. Be a good girl. She hasn't had it done for a while because we haven't been able to visit, but she's had it done since she was a puppy. So I put a bit of the mint toothpaste on the toothbrush, and then we just go in and because it tastes nice, she's trying to lick it and taste it. You have to get right to the back ones to get all that plaque and any bits of food that might be stuck in the teeth. So just like you have to keep brushing, we have to brush to help her keep her teeth. And it also helps keep her breath smelling nice, because as they get older, it doesn't smell very good. That's a good girl. And she's got very hairy ears. You can see she's got a lot of fur, so I'm going to have to trim her ears now. But they're nice and clean. So we have to keep looking at them and check all those things over. Okay, so she's 10, getting on 11, so she's getting on. You can see her white face. She's beginning to go grey, just like we do when we get older. We go grey, and so do the girls. She's got quite white round her whiskers. The rest of her coat hasn't come in yet too white, but around her eyebrows and on her cheeks. So she's getting on now. She's a senior. That's a good girl. Okay, Brack. This is Lark, and we're going to look at how we do some grooming with her, some brushing. Happens if you've got long hair and you don't brush it, it gets all tangled and matted, and they do it. It hurts to untangle it. So with the dogs, especially the Goldens, they have the longer fur. We have to keep them brushed. So I start very early with the puppies. They have to learn to be brushed and groomed, the nails done. So the brushing really helps. The brush I like to use is this one. It's got little wire bristles on it. It doesn't hurt them because you don't press hard on it, but it brings out, when you brush it, it brings out all the fur. As you can see, Lark is starting to shed. She must know something about the weather that we don't, because she's losing her fur. The Goldens have two coats. They have a very thick undercoat, and the top, Lark, she saw a squirrel. Lark, they have a top coat which is longer, but the undercoat keeps them warm in the winter and cool in the summer. So they lose all that and some of the top coat, and then they grow it in again. So I use this, as I said, that brush. As she's shedding so badly, I use this one, which is called a rake, because it really rakes out the fur. When you go through, it brings out all that loose fur. And then when you've done a good job with the rake, you can then go back with the other brush. You can see here, I can pull tufts of her fur out. She's really shedding. So go all over her. And as you see, the rake is pulling out a lot of the fur. So I'm going to take her outside later and do a good brush on her, because if I do it all inside, it gets everywhere. So we start with the puppies so they learn to get brushed. So when they start shedding, they'll stand nice and still to have the brush used on them. use this too when they've been outside and I need to get them to come inside. I'll rattle the food dish so they start come running because they know they're going to get a treat when they get inside. And next week we're going to show you them going outside. They've been outside about 3 or 4 times and they're beginning to explore now. So it's hard to take pictures of them, so we'll try and do some next week. You haven't seen Vicky today because Vicky isn't nursing them anymore, so they're not using Vicky's milk anymore. So they're totally on the puppy chow. And as you see, they've eaten up those kibbles in quite a hurry. So the puppies, as they say, aren't nursing on Vicky anymore, so we're letting her dry up. Now, Vicky doesn't actually live with me. She lives with a family in Ottawa, but she comes out here to have her puppies. So she's actually my dog, but she lives with a family, so she can have a lot of excitement living in a family. And so she's going home next week. So I'm going to let Shandy out now, and she likes to come and talk to the puppies. Shandy, look. You want to play with the puppy? Yeah, want to play with the puppy? Oh. These were